Well, Christmas is only 1 week away. Can you believe it? Here are some tips that can help you feel more present and less stressed this Christmas. So it's easy to feel really overwhelmed and stressed this time of year. I know a lot of us have a to-do list a mile long of things that we're just trying to get done before Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And a lot of times there's just so many different obligations and things that we feel like we really have to do. And that all of that can add a lot of stress. So I'm going to just walk you through what some tips are that can honestly help you to enjoy this week. And we look forward to this week all year long. And this is really the time when it's Christmas, because it's not just one day. You and I know that. And so if we can really allow that this time of year can bring a lot of joy and peace, then that's the priority. So I'm going to give you 5 tips to help reduce stress and bring that joy into your life this Christmas. My first tip is find out what it is that you can say no to. And I know that this has been said a lot, but honestly, you don't have to do everything. Even when it comes down to traditions. If you're a parent, we often come up with different things that we think are important traditions that maybe our kids just don't care about. So I think that it would be helpful if you would talk to your kids and find out what traditions are important to them. What is it that really makes Christmas Christmas for them? You never know what it is that's going to actually be important. You don't have to do every single tradition every single year. Sometimes it's nice to just focus on the ones that you really feel like you want to do this year. So find out what it is that you can say no to clear up your schedule. Tip number 2 is, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by having to clean up your house before Christmas and having it be perfect, focus on the 10-minute tidy. And what this is when you just take 10 minutes and you can focus on an area of your home and you tidy that up. Honestly, that can make a huge difference. And I've said that in other videos before, but when you just take 10 minutes to clean your kitchen or your living room or whichever area either you spend the most time in or that's stressing you out the most, that can really help you feel so refreshed so that you can just breathe a little bit more. It doesn't all need to be done. And that leads me into tip number 3, which is if you're hosting, remember that your guests aren't there to look at your house. They're there to be with you and be with each other. I cannot tell you how many different times I have spent hours stressing about getting the house perfect before being able to actually have people over. And then they come over and you know what? They're not looking at the house. They're probably hanging out in one room, making a mess themselves because they're bringing their stuff. And you know what? That's okay. Just focus on, again, use the 10-minute tidy and just focus on having the house available for people. One little tangent that I want to go on with this one is I've been reading the book Holy Hot Mess by Katherine Backstrom. And one thing that she says is that it's more welcoming to people when they can come in and feel at home because you haven't stressed about trying to create this perfect atmosphere, because you know what? Maybe their homes aren't fully perfectly clean and wiped down all the time either. So when you can walk into someone's house and you can just feel like, look, this is real me and this is real us and real our house, it can honestly be a little bit cozier because you can feel like, hey, I'm getting to know the real you and I don't have to try to pretend myself, and we can just be authentic and honest with each other. That is something that I'm trying to embrace this season, and I would love for you to do that as well. Tip number 4 is going to sound so cheesy, but it's presence over presents. You've probably heard this before, but presence meaning being present with your children, with your family, with your loved ones over what the presents, what the gifts specifically are and how many there are is a really good perspective change to make as we're leading up to Christmas. Maybe you haven't felt like you've really finished your shopping or that you haven't found that perfect gift for somebody. But honestly, being able to spend full quality time with those people that you love will go such a longer way than trying to extend yourself so much that you're just shopping and shopping and not actually being able to spend time with them. A lot of times this really comes into play when you're a parent with your children. Our kids often just would rather play with us. So instead of worrying about trying to get so many gifts so that they can have this huge experience of opening up gifts or coming down on Christmas morning and seeing a ton of gifts, focus on maybe what you've already gotten them, or knowing that, hey, there's probably other people who are going to get them gifts too, and just slow down a little bit so that you're not stressed around them, and you can honestly on Christmas Day just focus on playing with them. You know how much farther it would go if you would give them maybe 2 or 3 gifts that you spend the day playing on the floor with your kids than giving them 20 gifts, and then they kind of have that empty, lonely feeling that you probably remember having as a child, or maybe even as an adult, that at the end of Christmas you have all this stuff, but you're like, I really just want to be able to play with somebody, play with my parents, and they would love that experience with you. Tip number 5 is one that I really love, and this is to take a moment of quiet for yourself. Now, if you have a busy schedule and you're stressed, which is probably why you're watching this, you might be rolling your eyes and think that it's impossible, but you can find a moment, whether it's right before you go to bed or in the middle of the day or when you first wake up. Just take a moment and do something with yourself to help you really dial into the spirit of Christmas. However that may be for you, just focusing on the true spirit of Christmas, whether that's making yourself a cup of tea or a cup of hot cocoa with a candy cane and sitting down and just look at the Christmas tree. Even in that moment, that can just really be refreshing. Or go on a walk if you feel like you just want to get some fresh air. Take a moment just to breathe and just to take in, this is Christmas season, this is Christmas time, and it's really about just being present with others, but also being present with yourself. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm certainly going to be following all of these tips, honestly, because let's face it, it's very easy to get stressed when you're thinking, oh my goodness, we're only a week out until Christmas. But I hope that these were helpful for you. Please comment below what types of tips you might have to create a less stressful and more peaceful Christmas and to embrace the true spirit of this season. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this so that you can see more videos like this, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas.